Dilip Mudadenia has been serving Sri Lankan tourism for over 30 years. He has been responsible for the launch of many destination marketing campaigns that have been instrumental in taking Sri Lanka to the best travel destination in the world. He is the vice president of John Keells Group and the head of brand marketing, Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts. Prior to joining John Keells Holdings, he was the head of many departments in the Sri Lankan Tourism Development Authority. Under his leadership, the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau in 2010 won the gold medal at the Pacific Asia Travel Association. He is also the recipient at the 10 Outstanding Young Person of the Year awards. Dilip Mudadenia is a graduate at the University of Colombo, attorney at law, chartered and fellow marketer of CIM India UK, and has the postgraduate diploma and an MBA in marketing. And he is a proud old boy of Royal College.
Good evening, Mr. Mudalenia.
Good evening.
I am Jivin Nimaratna and this is my colleague Indura Gunawardana. As you already know, we are representing the Royal College Red Cross Society. We are proud to have you as a guest in our Chronicles 2020 program organized by our society. So, Mr. Mudalenia, what has been your greatest and most unforeseen challenge during the pandemic?
I think, this is pandemic is another crisis that we have seen during my last 25-year career. We have seen tourism is going through so much of challenges, our internal upheavals, the war period, and the attacks, the Easter attacks, and the airport attacks, and so on. So this is another crisis, but this crisis is actually much bigger than any other crisis that we have faced in the past. To an extent that the global tourism, travel and trade tourism, hospitality industry actually came to standstill. We haven't seen such an incident in the past in the history of mankind. So as a result, I think we've actually went through huge amount of problems, and we are going through. So many people are having issues, especially on the financial issues, employment issues, and many other issues related to the business operation at the moment.
So, Mr. Mudadenia, almost all businesses have become innovative. Was there a process of innovation in your company and in your industry as a whole?
It's everyone is actually going through a difficult period at the moment, and we had a little bit of a light in the kind of a tunnel when we somewhere around in September, July, August, end of August, when we actually all the restrictions were relaxed and people thought that that we have actually don't have any more cases, and we saw a surge of the domestic travel and tourism going up, restaurant business coming up again, and we were enjoying deal actually towards October, end of October, and then of course we had to go for the second wave, we call it. And since then, everyone is struggling in the travel and tourism. If there's any business in travel and tourism which is doing well, I haven't heard, not only in Sri Lanka, around the world. And we are somewhat better, but most of the big brands, even big chains, they're actually cutting down employment, cutting down costs, shutting down, and they're actually managing, or at least trying down how to the winding up process. And that's why sometimes the vaccine that was announced recently by a couple of countries and the US, etc., would be actually, if that come in very quickly, and we would see an immediate resumption of the industry.
Thank you for the answer. So, has COVID-19 impacted your business in any positive way?
Yes, I think every impact, every crisis has basically, and that's what I think it was mentioned. Crisis has two words in Chinese, right? The one is the real crisis, the other one is the opportunity. So every crisis will give you and shall give you an opportunity. They said not to waste a crisis. One thing which are given is the importance of technology and how best that you can raise your technology, for example, your online sales and online optimizations. So that's the reliance on that is going to be very heavy. Second thing is actually the very important thing is to understand your financial management importance of, big companies, they do it invariably, but the others also learn that, there is always not good times in business. There will be some bad times. We need to make sure at least not years and years, but at least we should be able to survive 6 months or even 1 year if something happens, so that you should have your reserves and financial management, and sticking to cash is very important thing. So those two, and the third one is basically we all call it, it's not recommencing is about re-emerging or innovation that we are looking at it. So reimagining ourselves. So that we saw so many business actually reimagine themselves. So the innovation came to the core, and this an innovation will now become a DNA of every business. And it's not actually one of these things where we go to one day a workshop and then do the whole innovation for the whole year. It's a continuous thing. It's going to come and actually be with us forever. So these are actually some of the positive things. And also actually I think the concept of leisure was further established. People enjoyed little bit of time at home, and they also enjoyed basically having some relaxations. They understood the concept of it, and I think that was something really good enough. I believe some of the good as the positive aspects of it.
So, how has the pandemic affected tourism around the globe?
So the tourism, as we said, the tourists were unable to travel. They were actually traveling within the country. The international tourism, which is about 1 billion tourists around the world, they travel for a year. That came to about 80-85% drop overall for the whole year. And there isn't a tourism industry. There's only some countries are doing well, but most of the countries were not being able to do any kind of tourism because there aren't any tourists traveling. Very few for maybe emergency reasons, on visiting friends and relatives for emergency reasons. Those things, except for that, the leisure travel actually reduced drastically. Having said that, we saw countries like China immediately, after the vaccine, they're traveling within China a lot, and all the places are full, so it's bounced back very quickly. But there isn't anything that we can pinpoint and say this destination did well.
How has it affected tourism internally in Sri Lanka? Local tourism.
Internally also, it's global. Internally also, it's affected a lot. You see that all the places, tourists that even SMEs, that they're having boutique hotels, even the small homestays, restaurants in Unawatuna, Miris, the whole coastal area, the east coast, they're all closed now. So we have about 200,000 people who depend on tourism directly and indirectly, and all of them have got affected. And that is actually a terrible blow for the industry.
Mr. Muldenia, has any nation benefited from the prevailing situation?
As I said, there are some businesses who are able to reinvent their wheel, and then as a result, the innovation came into play. And internationally, this chains like Pret A Manger and all that, they basically did something. But all in all, in the tourism industry, global tourism industry, I can't pinpoint and say, this hospitality or this leisure business did well because of COVID. Because your core business is affected. People are not traveling. And when people are not traveling, however much you do is, you can't compensate. If you have 300-room hotel and if your rooms are not filled, however much delivery that you do and the restaurant business, you can't fill your initial loss. So you really can't say that, any business benefited. But the new emergence of new business came in as a result, which may not be as a result of tourism.
Thank you, Mr. Muldenia. So I take it that from the situation, the country's tourism didn't benefit in any way, right?
No, we haven't got benefited out of it.
However, hotels and resorts acting as COVID-19 responder rooms.
Hotels gave some guidelines, the government gave some guidelines, so we understood. So some hotels actually turned that into a quarantine hotel where people come and stay. Cinnamon hotels and resorts particularly, we were not part of that initially, and we continued. So basically our primary importance is to ensure health and safety standards. So every hotel, we developed our health and safety manuals, new standards of serving food, cleanliness, how do we operate, the distance, and all that we had to keep it all the time, the physical distance, and also actually marketing tools that we had to reinvent. Even though we call physical distance, we never talked about the brand distance. So we had to keep on doing stuff, and we did a PR activities. If you look at the Suvaviru, the program that we did, giving the medical heroes a certain accommodation factor for them is something which really worked. So the free of charge, those are things actually we work from a brand perspective, communication perspective, as well as from a health and safety standard from products perspective.
In your opinion, what would be the worst case scenario if this continues indefinitely?
The worst case scenario is, which we are facing now. There cannot be a worse scenario than this. If this pandemic continues without any hope, etc., then the existence of tourism is questionable, because a lot of people can't survive, and many businesses will not survive because there is your core business is affected. But I don't think so. The main thing in tourism is to have hope. People, as a human being, they like to travel. They want to travel. They're waiting for the right moment. And main thing is, in tourism, to have hope and build on it.
Thank you, Dania. So, John Case managed to be of great service to the country with all their services rendered by Kiev Super. What were the steps taken to ensure the safety of the employees and the customers?
So every business have, basically the medical authorities have established safety standards, right? When you go, the physical distancing, the cleanliness, the frequent cleaning, and multiple elements or the multiple points that we have to adhere, given by the public health officers, etc. So we have actually put a lot of effort into this to make sure and ensure that we have stick to those guidelines. That's the least that we can do. Then of course educate people, and also things like if you look at Keel Super, actually we did a tremendous job in terms of delivery, online delivery. People sometimes reluctant to come, they want it to be delivered, so that online delivery system was properly worked out. So those are some of the things that we could do minimum, but then we have done much more to ensure that the food is a basic need of everyone, and to continue to be in that life cycle.
So, how did you all manage to provide services for a large number of customers on the day the curfew was lifted?
So that is, it is all about market anticipation. The processes, serving processes in place, and of course everyone can't enter at time, as you know. There are a certain number of customers who come in, and then you manage your the rest of the supply services, ensure that they are there, and make sure that your basic practices are in place. So being a supermarket, you know what the numbers that you can handle at a time, and with the COVID you can't plug in so many people, but they came in. Number of time people that you have in a store at a given time was less than in a pre-COVID time, because of certain conditions by health authorities. So we had to make sure that all the stuff that they are looking at is actually available, and have the safety standards, and they were trained for it. And that's what it's all about. A good brand is how best that you can adopt in time of crisis and perform.
Mr. Mudalania, many people are interested in the Cinnamon Life Mall project. Is it still in the works?
Very much. Cinnamon Life is you will see, you go in front and see how many people still working. And we were the first project to start when the COVID-19 restrictions were lifted. We were actually a lot of nice videos around it. People are seeing it. So the construction is going on, and most of the work is actually getting completed. There are 6 buildings in that, 4.5 million square feet, and the largest project, if you look at in Sri Lanka. So hopefully, I think towards the end of next year, or maybe early part of the 2022, and I think some of this, you will see the whole building basically coming to operation.
Mr. Muradania, what would happen to the Crescat Boulevard Mall with a much more ambitious project in the Cinnamon Life Mall?
Crescat is it's a different operation altogether. It's Cinnamon Life is an integrated resort. It has a mall on its own. It has the apartments separately. It has the hotel. So all is linked, and that's what we call integrated project. And so it's a different approach that we are taking for Cinnamon Life.
What would make the Cinnamon Life Mall more appealing to customers in regard to the competition?
The mall is no longer a place where you actually sell only goods. It's an experiential place. So if your mall or wherever that you're coming, if it's social gathering, and if you don't provide that, taking into consideration the limitations of the COVID, etc., then you're not in business. And that's why it's a challenging period for most of the malls, because your core business of people are not coming in. You don't people footfall coming in, there is no business for the people in. So there has to be an emerging new business coming up now around the world, especially on the malls, as we are retail area. So we have to be mindful of that and start working on it.
So, Mr. Muddenia, what has the percentage of layoff been in the industry?
I can't really say a percentage as such, but it's a very high percentage in Sri Lanka and overseas both. As I told you, 200,000 people are involved in tourism in Sri Lanka directly and indirectly. I can't give you statistics saying that this amount of people have lost their jobs, but it has to be something significant amount of people have lost the jobs.
Mr. Muddenia, how are you handling that situation?
We haven't laid off any people as such, but I can't really say about what the others have done. But it's a very difficult situation for a lot of people, and we need to understand. And government also has come forward to give some relief packages. So we believe that we'll be able to get over this, and these vaccines will come soon, and tourism will return as early as possible.
So, Mr. Muddenia, how has the pandemic affected other industries that are related to the tourism industry?
So other industries also who are directly connected to the is also affected. If you look at fisheries, if you look at vegetable suppliers, if you look at all the others who are directly and indirectly food suppliers, etc. The supply chain, when a big business affects, the entire supply chain got affected. For example, if you don't have enough people in the hotel, there's no need of buying your vegetables, the quantity that you bought. If you don't buy enough vegetables, then what happened to the farmers will get affected who have actually can't sell their product. Same with the rest of the supplies, same with all the other supplies that you need to run a hotel. If you don't consume, the consumption stops, then the supply chain actually will get affected. So, the impact is, you can discuss in detail, but it's unprecedented, and I think the idea is that we should have some hope and try and get out of it early as possible.
Mr. Muddenia, has our country's economy crashed? If so, how long do you think it will take for our country to recover?
I'm not saying we are having economic crash in the globally. It's a resilient economies, that we have seen in the past, etc. It's too early to say, but economic up and down, we have seen it in many times. 2007-8, the great economic crisis before in history. So we have seen it in ups and downs. But overall, I think we should have the ability to overcome that. It's too early to say how this is going to impact, but you never know, because this is a stop. This consumption is reduced and stopped. But sometimes when you stop, what happens when you open it up? It can really double, triple growth. So we have to wait and see. You see already with the introduction of the vaccine, the oil prices are soaring. Stock market has boomed in some of the overseas countries. So these are early indicators of how it's going to work.
So, Mr. Muddenia, does the John Kears Group have planned to improve and stabilize the economy of our country?
No, we can't. It's not our mandate to do stabilize economy of country, but we play our role as a leading conglomerate in the country. We do our part. The economy is very important. When you do good business, when you actually be a good citizen of the country, and with the country's mindset and helping. Only way that we can do is to ensure that we continue to do our business well, so then we continue to generate employment, revenue, and taxation for the country, for the government, and then we also continue to be in the business of getting foreign exchange earnings, much needed earnings to the country, and then obviously that will have some impact to the country, and we are actually playing that role as the leading conglomerate in the country.
Mr. Muddenia, does the John Kears have a plan to support the unemployment?
It's not our mandate. Unemployment we can't support like that. We are a public quoted company. We have our shareholders. So when businesses are thriving, we need more people. That's what we need to do. And then in the process of that, we will recruit more. So that's what's going to happen. It has to be from a business sense, not from just recruitment for the sake of recruitment.
So, Mr. Muddenia, have any words of advice for the young generation of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think the young people have a very, very big task in turning this country. We like to see an Apple being born in Sri Lanka, a Boeing company being born in Sri Lanka. We like to see like McDonald's being born in Sri Lanka or made in Sri Lanka. We like to see Pirelli tires being born in or companies like Tata. So it's a high time that the entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka actually build these big businesses so that it can support the country and the economy in big term rather than actually depending on the government to do that. So the business community as young entrepreneurs who are actually listening to this and who have this mindset should we like to see Facebook is being born in Sri Lanka, not with Facebook, but something similar in the past, in the future. So we need to look at that entrepreneurial mindset, look at the gap in the market, look at the opportunities that are not being fulfilled by the human. The needs are there but not fulfilled. Create that thing and come up with the startup companies, create those big companies, and which Sri Lanka can be proud of, and to get this impact of made in Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Mr. Mudini, for your answer. With that, Mr. Mudini, we will conclude this interview.
Thank you for all of you, and all the best for tremendous work that you're doing. Thank you.